are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 668 of the New York Knicks podcast. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing fine. If you had the Brooklyn Nets as being the toughest game the Knicks would play in the last 2 weeks, you win this bingo game.
Yeah, I didn't. I was getting worried, and then they decided to just beat up on the tough Western Conference against 3 straight playoff teams. So, pretty good feelings over here.
It's not a good week if you are someone that likes crappy, stupid Knicks narratives. The team doesn't, they're too tired to play. They seem kind of fine, actually.
I like how Josh Hart keeps making fun of the minutes police
police?
now. Yeah, I'm getting a kick out of that.
I like the fact that the players read some of the Twitter and the stupid takes and make fun. That is hilarious.
Yeah. So, 5-game win streak, 3 straight against Western playoff teams, 4th one coming up this weekend. I was starting to get into that point of the season where you're like, God, there's like 40 games left, and it's like win a couple, lose a couple. It's getting boring. And then that Memphis game was like my favorite game in years. That was just like the most fun I've had watching a game in a long, long time.
The Knicks have scored 408 points in the last 3 games.
Team record.
I'd like to ask you, Jay, how many points would the Knicks have scored if Tibbs knew how to coach offense?
That is an all-time team record, by the way.
All-time team's record, and it's amazing because Tibbs has no idea how to coach offense. There's no way he could be a good offensive coach. Narratives are not going well.
No,
but
no.
Knicks are going well.
They are. The Knicks are going very well. This is kind of what I was thinking the team would look like, and it took a while to get there, but man, are they rolling now. Like, I feel like the bench got just 3-4 extra minutes, and it looks like they got so much more confidence just getting a couple extra minutes.
So how do you think they're going to look without Towns for like that month?
Don't even say that.
You haven't heard this?
No.
You've not heard this?
No.
They're shutting him down to get thumb surgery after the All-Star break. He's going to be out about a month.
No. I don't believe you.
What are you talking about? It's true.
I don't believe you at all.
But wouldn't that be logical? He's got a bone chip and a sprained thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Would this be the right move? Knicks they have a great record. We don't have to be the 2nd seed or 1st seed. I mean, 1st seed might be tough anyway with Cleveland. Could the Knicks get by for a month without Towns? Do it right after the All-Star break?
Why wait till after the All-Star break? Why not do it before the All-Star break so you get a week of that as no games?
Right. I mean, that would make even more sense, but I imagine Towns wants to play as a starter in the All-Star game.
Pull a Melo?
Yeah. Well, that was a different season, obviously. But is it crazy? So it's clearly hurting him.
Mm-hmm.
His shots are, last night, by the way, I was at the Denver game last night. Awesome. It is so much fun watching the Knicks, especially in person. The Garden's electric.
Mm-hmm.
I have one change. I know Dolan's listening to our podcast. He's an avid listener.
Mm-hmm.
I have one change to request. This will help make the Garden even better.
Mm-hmm.
Every time a Knick hits a 3-pointer, the announcer should say, Gallinari!
I do miss that.
I really miss when Gallinari hit threes, and they would say it in the most offensive way possible. It was really that's why I think of every time I see a 3-pointer while I'm at the game.
Yeah, they turned into like that Simpsons Italian chef guy.
Right.
This is really funny.
It's like they're doing a commercial for Prego.
Yeah. So, I feel like the benches looked a lot better. Precious looks super aggressive on offense.
Yes. He is
which I
still
like.
not good at layups, but he's good at dunking, and once in a while the layups go in. And he's just more aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. He's looked really good. He had that sick dunk against Memphis.
Yeah, his defenses look good. I mean, he looks. Remember when he was a throw-in the OG trade?
Yeah, yeah. Now he's like an absolute key piece of this team.
Just to make sure these the trade numbers work out. Precious. I don't even know his last name. I never even heard of the player. We're trying to match salaries here. Just throw him into the trade.
So yeah, that's been great. I think a lot of people owe Bridges an apology. Bridges has been just awesome.
Well, his shot's broken. He can't shoot, and he can't play defense. It's not like he's been a complete player most of the season.
Or for the last 7 years.
Yeah, I like he's been awesome this year. He's been generally awesome. Sometimes there's like moments when his defense isn't as good or he misses some shots. Generally, he's been really good.
I just find it weird how fans turn on these players for like 2 bad weeks. It's like, have you looked at the last 7 years? The guy's good, yet players go through. Is this your first time watching an NBA season? Like players go cold for a couple weeks. It's every player does it.
Jay is talking as if he's not a co-host on the Overreaction podcast.
I'll admit we overreact, but we haven't. I mean, we haven't been down. Like we didn't want Dante off the team when he started off cold, or Bridges this year, or like OG had a quiet 2 weeks, and we're like, yeah, let's just trade him. And
I mean, the people proposing trade, like, anyone proposing a trade proposal for one of the starting 5 was out of their goddamn minds.
yeah.
The Knicks built this starting 5, and they're like, let's see, after 20 games, maybe we'll just trade them again.
This starting 5 is like, it's so complimentary of each other. Like everybody, they're switchable on defense. There's outside shooting everywhere. Like it's just, there's a lot of passing. It's a very cohesive starting lineup.
Yes, you have 2 guys who are on the offensive side of the ball. You have 2 guys who are between Bridges and OG who are great at corner threes, also great at cutting with the ball. They also and very, very willing passers. Brunson is awesome. By the way, another narrative that I want to talk about. Brunson doesn't pass the ball. He doesn't get assists. Got 15 last night.
Yeah.
He looked goddamn. I mean, there's so many plays. Like he was setting up Hart for easy layups. Like it was just goddamn like awesome watching Brunson.
Yep.
This whole starting 5 looks, I mean, like phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and like I said, the bench looks a little better. Shamit's like barely playing, but at least it's 5 less minutes for the starters, so that's fine.
Did you hear Adam Silver's new idea to make it easier for Tibbs not to have to rest guys?
Yeah, he was throwing around the idea of 10-minute quarters instead of 12.
What was the only reason I can understand is that way Tibbs is like, no one needs to sit. We're good.
Hey guys, people are complaining the games are a little too long. We're still going to start 15 minutes late. We're going to call touch fouls and flops, so there's tons of stoppage for free throws. We're going to have timeouts to fit in more commercials. We're going to have reviews that take like 5 minutes.
Holy shit.
But we're going to cut the game, make it shorter.
Yeah, you also, people are like, make the season shorter. He's like, okay, there's 2 minutes left per quarter. We meant the actual number of games. Yeah, I didn't hear you. Sorry, didn't hear you.
He is the Michael Jordan of ideas that nobody wants.
I mean, really, like, some terrible idea. I don't understand. Hey, you know we have a history of, like, statistics in the NBA? Let's screw all the statistics by shortening the quarters.
And have a game that doesn't count for any statistics.
Yes.
Right in the middle of the season.
Or the mid-season dumb tournament. Which I feel like they should quietly just not do next year.
Do you think
just,
if
like,
they
people...
didn't do it, anybody would even notice?
Yeah, people would ask about it, and they'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about. You know, last 2 years you've had a mid-season tournament. I'm not catching on. Next question.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so since last show, the Knicks have beaten. Well, it's crazy because they were so close against Brooklyn. They followed up by beating the crap out of Sacramento to the point that De'Aaron Fox said, "Trade me. I can't play for this team anymore."
He's
They
like,
beat the-
I'm so upset about this game. I don't even want to be in this city ever again.
They beat the crap out of Memphis, causing Ja to delete his social media profile,
Yeah.
which the Knicks could have maybe beaten Ja 2 years ago and saved everyone a lot of trouble, I guess. Close game against Denver. Knicks pulled away in the end in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure the ramifications but I'm imagining Jokic is going to spend the next 3 weeks tending to his horses in Europe.
So, Ja played 27 minutes and he was a minus 41.
I mean, the Knicks just beat the crap out of Memphis. I was watching with my brother the game, and we like in the first, like maybe somewhere in the second quarter, we were like towards the end of the second quarter, we were like, hey, like the Knicks seem like they're really outplaying Memphis, but the score is kind of close. Shouldn't the Knicks be winning by more points? And from there on, the Knicks just like just destroyed them.
Yeah, once they put their foot on the gas, it didn't even matter who was in. They unloaded the bench. The bench goes on a run. Payne was a plus 17. Like, it was just running amok. That was favorite game of the season.
I mean, this is just like, I mean, also like the Knicks have an easy schedule, only being bad teams. They can't beat a winning team. 3 of the best teams in the NBA, the Knicks just like smoked.
Back to back to back.
Back to back. The Sacramento game, DeRozan not making much of a difference for the Kings. Fox wants out. Malik Monk looked like maybe the best player on the court. Sabonis, I just think is overrated. I know he puts up. What do you think of Sabonis?
I think he was really good. I think he was an all-star snub this year.
He puts up awesome numbers, right?
Yeah.
Why is the team just not that good with him? Every time I see the Knicks play Sacramento, I am just completely unimpressed with Sabonis.
I'm thinking it's more DeRozan because every team he goes to seems to underperform.
I mean, he obviously not like DeRozan, but like every time they play him, forget like even this season, previous seasons, like Sabonis, like Randall would man up Sabonis. Like I just don't like. I know he puts up great numbers. I have never seen him look awesome against the Knicks.
I mean, he was 11 for 14 against the Knicks. He had a triple-double.
He did have a triple-double.
I mean, he
he
was
was a -4 in the game, I guess, which was the best best of all their starters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just never see him. I'm like, oh wow, Sabonis. I'm really scared.
No, I think he's a very good player.
He's like a mid-tier all-star. He's a guy that never like you're like, if Sabonis is our best player, we are basically a first round out every year.
Yes. The problem is Sabonis has what the Knicks do to a lot of players and say, you are the focal point of our franchise, and even though you shouldn't be. Like,
He's really not big enough to be your starting center. He's really, if anything, a power forward playing center for them.
Like, remember when the Knicks were like, hey, McDyess, you're the savior of the entire franchise. He's like, excuse me? Like,
Hey, Jose Calderon, you're the savior of our franchise.
right. It's just these, like, guys that should be the second or third best guys on teams. And the Knicks are like, you're going to carry us to a championship, right? We're going to get you no help, by the way.
That is funny, but like, the Calderon thing is even funnier because it was like, you're our starting point guard. And Calderon's like, I was hoping to play 10 minutes a game.
Right. He's like, I was debating retiring like 2 years ago.
Exactly. So anyway, they beat the crap out of Sacramento. That team scares no one. Played Memphis, who's having a great season till they played the Knicks. Jaren Jackson's really good. I mean, John Morant supposedly is really good at basketball.
Jaren Jackson was
Jaren
Jaren Jackson made the All-Star team this year. They announced the All-Star.
Okay. I mean, he's really good. He's a really good player. He just didn't choose to. I mean, he was only a -33, which was better than Ja on the game.
Yeah. And he kept his social media.
I mean, they got their asses whooped. They might want to if they want to compete this year, they might want to make a trade at the deadline.
Well, maybe one of them will freak out and ask for a trade,
If you're them,
Fox
maybe
did.
like get De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento.
I was surprised at how small Pippen Jr. was.
Why?
Because Pippen's a big dude. I don't know. I always feel like I was surprised, like with Bronny. I was like, how are you so much smaller than your dad? I was just
Yeah,
expecting.
but there are also a lot of guys who are a lot taller than their dad. So
Right? Yeah, most people are taller than their parents.
Well, I mean, do you think Shaq's kids are all 8 foot?
Maybe. I mean, look at like
He's a
Bill,
race of 10 foot kids.
like at Jokic's family. The brothers are both like 7 feet.
Yeah, I mean that happens.
Giannis's
I don't
brothers
know, but
are all like, 6'8".
I don't think
and
every
above.
7-footer has a 7-foot kid.
But he's like, what is he like 6'1"? Like he's small.
Well, okay, so I don't know if you caught this, but Scottie Pippen was saying because of the low contract he got from the Bulls, he wasn't able to feed his son growing up, so that's why his son's short.
He is 6'1".
He's 6'1", yeah. What Pippen's what, 6'5", 6'6"?
I thought he was taller than that. I thought he was like 6'7", 6'8".
He might be. Let me see how tall he is.
This is
We saw him in person. He was he looked pretty darn tall.
He looked pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah, how tall is he? He is. Google is not fast enough for me. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. He's
Well, good.
6'8".
Yeah. Yeah. That's considerably shorter than your dad. I mean,
He married a dwarf though, so maybe the mom's more of her height kind of factored in.
yeah.
I have no idea. But yeah, it does. Like I feel like my kid. I feel like my son is on like will probably end up being about my height, and my daughter will end up being about my wife's height.
So according to Basketball Reference, Pippen's nicknames are Batman and also Robin. So he's Batman and Robin.
I mean, I understand. I understand Robin. Batman. Dude, you might not want to tell Michael about that.
I guess somebody called him that in like '95 when Jordan wasn't playing. I don't know.
I guess so.
He's Batman now.
The Denver game, like the Knicks seem to do a good job of holding Jokic into like in check.
Oh,
Like, he doesn't
absolutely.
seem to have like, I mean, like it just could be. I mean, obviously you only play him a few times a year. He doesn't seem to have massive games against the Knicks. Like, while everyone else he puts up these crazy numbers, he had 17 points last night. I mean, he also like got 2 quick fouls and like he was sat for like 10 minutes.
Six
like,
for
which made
15.
no sense.
He was 6 for 15. They completely shut him down on offense. Only 6 rebounds and 6 assists. The guy's been putting up like 30, 20, 10 games like every night. So
Right. I mean, he had a fine night if if you weren't the league's best player.
yeah, yeah. So they definitely have
Jamal
his
Murray
number.
looked unstoppable last night for a while.
Yeah, well, the good thing about games like this is if you shut down the best player, you could let the second best player have a really good game and still win handily.
By the way, I thought Christian Braun was supposed to be pretty. He is actually a really good player, and he's one of the guys on the bench I was worried about. He was a negative 18. I don't know how that happened. He had
Yeah.
the worst plus minus on the team.
He's one of those Nick effect guys where I'm like, oh yeah, he's the one who's going to get like 30 tonight. But
Andre Jordan, I cannot understand how he's still in the league.
he's hanging on. He's barely hanging on.
I mean, Jericho Sims would be an upgrade over John Jordan at this point. Jordan was done 5 years ago when he was on the Knicks.
Yeah,
So I don't know how he's still in the league and still.
I-
I was like, they put him on the court, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot he was still in the league.
I feel like once you get a rep, it takes like 5 years for everyone else to catch on that you're not that anymore.
I mean, he's just like a big body at this point, but he doesn't really do much. I mean, you couldn't find someone else to play center in the G League that might give you anything more than DeAndre Jordan.
Do you know that season with the Knicks was probably his best season since? Like, he's had like
What year was that? 19?
Yeah, that was 19. Good memory.
Okay. It seems like forever ago. But yeah, he looked pretty bad in the Knicks.
Yeah, he's looked a lot worse since then.
Who are the All-Star starters? I mean, sorry, not the starters, the bench. Sorry, they just announced. Let's see. You were saying before the show started that LaMelo did not, despite doing fantastic with fan voting, did not make the team.
That is correct, which I agree
Okay.
with. One, he's injured, so everyone like freaking out like he didn't make the team. It's like he wouldn't have played anyway.
Yeah.
2, he's just a good stats, bad team guy.
Yeah, he may be like the king of good stats, bad team guy right now. Okay, let's go through the East just to see if anyone you would take LaMelo over.
Okay.
So it looks like Jaylen Brown made it. Obviously, I'm going to take Brown over LaMelo. Cade, Garland, Hero, Dame, Mobley, Siakam. Who of those guys? Who would be like a reasonable guy to drop for?
The problem is there's like Dame's having a much better year than last year. I think the weakest link there is probably Siakam, but then you.
Well, he's a forward though. You can't.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Then you just have a skewed team like that.
Cade's having a much better year. He seems that Hero is having a pretty good year. So
I would not.
Dame is the last guy on this list in my mind, but like.
But he's having a really good season.
Is he having a great year?
Yeah.
Why are the Bucks so mediocre then?
They got off to a terrible, terrible start. They've been playing pretty good since.
Let me see what his numbers are. I didn't think he was having as good a year as you're saying.
No, you're going to be surprised because I looked at this before the show.
45%, 38%. Okay, he's having a pretty good year.
Yeah, he's having a good season. Josh Hart's having a better season than Jaylen Brown. He didn't make the
Josh Hart's having. I mean, like Josh Hart should probably be an all-star.
Yeah.
By the way, every time I go to the Knicks games, the one thing that always happens is the Knicks can't hit a goddamn free throw. They missed, I don't know, like 8 or 9 free throws last night.
Yeah, you said that, and then they they did much better in the second half. But yeah,
they
the
did.
First
I
half
mean, but the
was
thing is
looking
also
like
the Knicks are one of the better free throw shooting teams in the league. So it's so weird that when I go to games, they clank free throws.
So yeah, Hart is I thought
He
deserving.
missed 6
of
last night. Fine.
Deserving of a all-star.
Yeah, Hart's there. I would take Hart over LaMelo in a heartbeat because his effort leads to winning. LaMelo's effort leads to cool ESPN highlights.
And some cool TikToks.
Yeah. I mean, he totally not deserving. The West, you agree with all the West? So we got Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Harden, Jaren Jackson, Segun, Victor Wembanyama, and Jalen Williams.
The only thing I would maybe change is Williams for Sabonis.
Yeah, I'm going to say the team with the best record in the West versus the team that is about to blow things up. I'm going to go with the guy from the team with the best record.
Okay, I mean, are you just going to give it to him just because they have a better record, or
Jalen Williams he's the second best player on the best team.
Okay.
I mean, really, like he is the second best player. He's awesome in offense, great on defense. His defense is really good. Sabonis is a lousy defender, which also holds Sacramento back.
Okay, I mean it's
They're
fair.
big,
fair
and
points.
he's not a rim protector. He doesn't. You think he's good on defense?
Not really, no.
No, I think that's one of the problems. Like having your center be not good on defense is problematic.
Yeah.
I get he puts out a lot of stats. Sacramento's been like very mediocre since they've had him.
They had some good regular seasons.
Yeah, they were like, oh, we put up great in the regular season, and we'll try to lose as fast as possible the playoffs.
They're like the new Portland. Remember when Portland finished like top 3 5 years in a row and
They were bad.
they
Yeah.
just lost and got stomped in the playoffs every year?
I am just and I know he puts up numbers. I'm very unimpressed. I'm very unimpressed with Sabonis. That's all.
Okay.
And so I don't think he's an all. I would think he's not like LaMelo. Obviously, they win games. They usually have a decent record. And obviously, he's like a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, LaMelo. I mean, like the team is complete garbage. And LaMelo's the best player. If you're the best player on a team and they don't win any games, you cannot be an all-star.
So a guy who used to play for Charlotte is being investigated by the NBA right now.
Do tell more.
Terry Rozier is being federally investigated for tweaking his game because of gambling reasons.
I mean, the guys get paid so much goddamn money. He's got a big contract in the past. Like, he's throwing games.
It's It's dumb. You just got to wonder how much money's being thrown at him to do this. I sent you this like hours ago.
Oh, I must have missed it, obviously. You know what would be great? I think certain players it'd be funny if they were under investigation for throwing games because the judges wouldn't believe them that they were throwing the game. Like they investigate Julius Randle. They're like, look, he's holding on to the ball too long. He's taking some bad shots. Like, what does Randall do? Why is he holding on to the ball so long? Clearly, he's throwing the game.
There's a federal investigation. It's like, no, he just stinks.
No, that's just his process. That is just his process. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, federal prosecutors are looking into him potentially cooperating in an illegal sports betting scheme in 2023 while with the Hornets. They usually don't announce unless they have stuff on you. So this is not looking good for him.
I think he would just argue, have you seen the Hornets? There's no way I could make the game worse for them.
I mean, if you're going to pull that kind of stuff, you would do it for a team that has, like, it's not like you're ruining your team's chances at the playoffs.
Right. It's also like, it's pretty much, you can just say, like, I don't care what you say about my game unless you have like evidence of me. They must have evidence like him talking, like in the conspiracy to do this. Because if you just watch the game, you're like, yeah, the Hornets were going to lose anyway.
His stats weren't worse overall, so it must have been like particular games. Because if you just look at his stat line for Charlotte last year, his points per game actually went up. So I don't know if maybe if you look at the game log, maybe there's a couple games where he just completely like did
right.
nothing.
I'm sure there's like a certain night, like they're like on March 12th, basically, like his numbers look off, basically, or you missed every shot. Who the hell knows?
December 16th, 3 for 10, 6 points. This is a guy who's averaging 23 points a game.
Yeah, but he could have that off night anyway. Like that doesn't seem so crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in the mid-season. Games 41 through 46, he averaged about 10 points a game for like 5-6 straight games. So maybe there.
I don't know if you're aware, actually. The investigation, they're also charging Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina of trying to throw games.
I don't know. I mean,
they're charging the Knicks from 2015 to 2019 of throwing games.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was just the final game of the season? Because the final game he was 2 for 7 with 4 points.
That would be pretty funny.
Yeah, he just
David Fizdale clearly made a ton of money throwing games. That's the only explanation.
So
why don't we do some questions?
Yep. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So this is on Facebook Daniel writes, do we need an upgrade? Do we need an upgrade for Shamet, or can this team get to the promised land as is plus Mitchie? Thanks. So one thing the Knicks, I feel like the fourth quarter starts, it's Shamet, it's Payne, it's the bench lineup plus Towns, and I'm just being like, please just get through this. Like we just have to get through these 4 minutes and get Brunson back on the floor. And last night, Deuce was like, "F it, I'm gonna do my best Brunson impression," and like he outplayed Denver there. But like when you watch those two on the floor, how nervous do you get?
I get a little nervous. Is it like sometimes they go off, but like immediately, like within 30 seconds. So like, is Payne going to score 15 points in the next 2 minutes, or is he just going to like turn the ball over and jack up shots? Like you never know. It's one of the other.
Early in the game last night, Payne hit a three, and I know Denver was all like, "Oh fuck,
yeah,
if he's gonna hit shots, we're screwed."
Yeah. Although it's funny, if he hits his first shot, he'll take like a half court shot. Like the next time he touches the ball, like he does the quickest heat checks of himself that I've ever seen any player do.
There was one like on a fast break where he just took a three, the stupidest three. And missed by half a mile. But whatever. Like if he's hitting some shots, so Shamet, when does he hit shots? There was one game recently where he hit 3 threes in the first half. I don't see much else. He's not really doing a lot on offense.
He's not, but he's also playing the least amount of minutes for any bench player. So it's hard to get going when you're playing like 6 minutes a game.
He's playing okay defense also. Yeah, I don't mind seeing one of those guys out there. Two of them out there just kind of like getting me nervous.
He's not playing so bad where I'm like he needs to get off the floor immediately, but it's just the starters are so good. It's such a big downgrade just because of how good the starters are.
Clearly, you can have an upgrade over Shamet. I would not trade Mitch to get an upgrade over Shamet. That would not make sense.
No.
If you're trading Mitch, so Mitch is on the table for being traded. People are like, suppose the Knicks are open to a Mitch trade. And Mitch was on social media being like, screw it. I don't even care if I get traded now. Because he's probably seeing these rumors over and over again. If you're trading Mitch, what do you want back? Don't tell me the player, but tell me what you generally want back.
I either want a tall wing player or a defensive backup center.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much exactly what would make sense. I don't know if that guy's available. I do not think. Do you think Valanciunas really solves the problem?
No, because he's more offense. He's very good on offense, but the Knicks don't need more offense, so he doesn't solve anything.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously he's a great rebounder.
Mm-hmm.
He's an interesting guy to get, but I don't know if the guy's available. Like, I don't know who's available that really would make that much sense. I mean, you have to get a guy. First of all, why is the team trading for Mitch? I guess you're attaching a pick to that. He's got one more year, $12 million. So a team has to be like maybe a team believes Mitch will be back next year, but it's no guarantee.
He has a descending contract.
He has one more year at $12 million.
I don't think that an ankle injury is going to end his career.
Right.
So you're going to be like, I'm going to get one of the best offensive rebounders and defenders, and for only $12 million. That's a deal. If I can deal with the loss of an asset this season, I'm going to be better next season. Or maybe he's running and jumping right now. He's not scrimmaging, but he's running and jumping. Maybe you're like, I make this trade, and I hope he comes back 2 weeks before the playoffs, and then we got like a super reserve for cheap, which is what, if there's any chance of him coming back 2 weeks before the playoffs, I just think the Knicks should keep him. Yeah,
we talked about this last show or 2 shows ago.
Yeah, this will be the last time we talk about it because next show will be after the trade deadline. So.
Yeah, next show's trade deadline. I agree with you. You just have to kind of keep him and see how it goes, because like I think you're not going to get a guy who's going to be an upgrade over him. I really would be shocked. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think that they see like a deal you can't pass up, but I don't think that deal's going to really happen. I think if anything's going to happen, it's going to be a buyout guy. Will be a Nick in March. So
we got an email from Sam. It says, I have another trade idea for you guys because last time you killed all my trades.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, Sam. The Knicks get Kevon Looney and Kyle Anderson. Bulls get Mitch Sims, Gary Payton II, and Warriors get Vucevic.
I mean, yeah, so the Knicks get, say it again?
Looney and Kyle Anderson.
I like that.
I'm fine with that if the Knicks, like, if Mitch isn't coming back, I'm fine with that. But
yeah, I mean, Looney's a solid big.
If you're saying Mitch is going to be back before the end of the season, I'd rather keep Mitch. But Looney's solid, Anderson's solid. It does fit the two. It fits the two holes the Knicks need. It's just, I would rather Mitch and get TJ Warren in March. That's what I'd rather do.
But yeah, if that trade's on the table, I think I'd probably take it. How often is Looney? Is Looney injured a lot also?
I think he used to be. I don't think he's injured that much anymore because he just doesn't play a lot. They drafted players over him, so like he played 70. He played the last 3 years, 82, 82, 74, and he's played 41 games this season.
A couple years before that, he was injured a lot, but yeah, I didn't realize he was been so healthy. I don't hate it. Like, he's a solid rebounder. He's a big. Plays defense. He's only 6'9".
Huh.
Thought he was taller.
Yeah.
I like Kyle Anderson.
Everyone talks about how good Kyle Anderson is, and every time I watch him play, I'm like, I don't get it.
I thought he's looked good against the Knicks.
Well, everybody's had a game against the Knicks.
I mean, I like, but I feel like he's looked decent against the Knicks. He's a solid veteran, like role player. He's 6'9". He would add to the bench. You need like adding an okay center and a solid or a decent backup for a wing. That's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Golden State doing that? I mean, get for Golden State, they're not really playing Looney that much. Foos, yeah, I mean, it's a very reasonable trade. I like it.
The thing is, yeah, for Golden State, they need somebody who can score other than Curry because nobody, like, Hield fell off a cliff. And,
Right.
And Schroeder's having a bad season, so it's really just the Curry show.
Who are the Bulls getting? Why are the Bulls doing this?
The Bulls were getting Mitch and Sims and Gary Payton II, and they would do it because they're just going tanking.
I mean, that has to be part of a bigger, like, we're moving everyone kind of thing.
I mean, they're in 10th. Like, either they're in a slide right now, too. Like, they're about to lose.
They have enough. The thing is, they have enough players in that roster who are pretty good. Where it's hard to like. It's hard. Like Zach LaVine's having an awesome year. He was definitely like potential All-Star this year. But do you have any faith that Zach LaVine's going to be healthy going forward? Do you want to sell high on him, or wait and see what happens next? Like, who are you building? It's tough to blow it up when you have players that actually are pretty solid players.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably just try and make the playoffs and see what happens. They're tied with Philly right now. I would really think it would be funny if Philly just did not make the playoffs at all.
I mean, that would be amazing.
They've won 4 games without George and Embiid. I don't know how they're winning with Yabusele and, like, not their starting lineup.
Okay, let's get through some more questions. Anthony writes, is this Knicks team finally showing their true potential defensively? While it isn't perfect, the ability to stop teams from going for runs and key stops in situations have improved tremendously. Towns had a huge block towards the end of the game. He was playing solid defense. I mean, the Knicks first of all, I didn't even two stats that I'd like to point out. One, the number 20. What am I referring to, Jay?
The number 20. Is that the opposing team's turnovers?
20 steals against Memphis.
Jesus.
Holy shit. I cannot believe the ball was stolen 20 times from any team not named the Washington Generals. How the hell you have the other team steal the ball from you 20 goddamn times?
That's crazy.
That was crazy. I mean, OG had 6 steals in that game, 4 from Precious, 3 from McBride. Like, just everyone had a steal. That was absurd. The next one, the number, I just want to confirm this, 5.
5 is the number of turnovers they had
Against Denver.
Yeah, that's
crazy how well they were protecting the ball.
Yeah. So there's been one player ever that has averaged as many points and assists as Brunson and only turning the ball over 2.5 times a game.
One player in NBA history has only turned the ball over 2.5 times, averaging
over 25 points and 7 assists a game while only turning the ball over less than 2.5 times a game. Brunson's the only player on that list.
Oh, he's the only player. There's not someone else.
No, it's only Brunson.
Oh, I was going to try to guess the other player.
It's a list of one, just Brunson.
Oh, that's pretty good. I'm beginning to think he's good at basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just like, it's just I can never get over how the Knicks got this guy from Dallas.
I bet Cuban can't either.
I mean, like, hey, Mark Cuban, are you going to let a future Hall of Fame point guard walk? Yes, twice. I mean, like, really, I mean, obviously, like, where I was with, obviously he's only been in the Knicks for 2.5 years. It'll be the third year. Is Brunson a future Hall of Famer? Maybe.
Maybe.
See if he keeps this up. He looks amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question, Jay. Reginald writes, is the roster missing one more ball handler, shot creator? Though he wrote shit creator, which I like that too.
No, I don't think so.
I think the shot creator, I mean, like, between Cam and McBride, they're pretty solid in terms of like shot creator, like bench guys that can like at least create their own shot and like handle the ball.
And you got Hart too.
I meant bench guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Obviously, Hart can, and like, I mean, Bridges. I mean, Bridges can create his own shot. OG to a certain extent.
Towns
To a certain extent, also.
Yeah, no.
But like, I mean, like guys on the bench who they could use a little more scoring on the bench. Obviously, the team could always get better, but the team looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think they do need that like guy off the bench that could just shoot lights out, like a sober J.R. Smith.
You would love a Jamal Crawford off the bench. That would be really helpful.
Yeah, preferably a Jamal Crawford over a J.R. Smith.
Yes. I like that you went to J.R. Smith. I was thinking about it, but I was like, Jamal Crawford would make a lot more sense here.
I said a sober J.R. Smith.
A sober J.R.
There was a caveat there.
Anthony writes, Tibbs has done a better job of playing the bench and trusting them in real minutes. This has I think, elevated the defensive effort focus.
It could be. I mean, if the guys are less tired, they have more energy for defense.
I mean, the game wasn't like a blowout against the Nuggets last night, and the minutes, like the starters' minutes, okay, 37 for Bridges, whatever. OG 39, that's a little higher, but 30 for Town, 36 for Brunson, 34 for Hart. Pretty solid minutes. It also helps that Precious has really stepped up as of late.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Nomad writes on Twitter, thoughts on upgrading the forward spot? Chris Boucher or Hurdle from the Raptors. What would the Knicks give up?
It would have to be Mitch.
First of all, Boucher doesn't even really play for them. He's not a good defender. I don't think he'd fit in here at all.
I haven't been. He's been on a little bit of a hot streak right now, which is why.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, which is why people are saying that. But I'm more of a body of work than a recent hot streak type of person.
He goes on these hot streaks and never plays sustained games for them. Like I feel like they're not that impressed with him either.
No. Yeah, like I said, he's had a bit of a hot streak recently, but
Pirtle, I think he makes too much money, but like, is Pirtle gonna be that much different than like Valanciunas?
No, I think Pirtle's another guy who could put up big offensive stats, but I don't think he's really what the Knicks need. I
might want Valanciunas for his rebounding at that point.
I mean, if Mitch is just never gonna, that's the thing, we just don't know. If he's never gonna be healthy again, I would take any of these guys over a guy who's not gonna play. But I don't want to make this trade, and then you see Mitch come back and he's like dominating, and you're like, well, maybe we should have been a little bit more patient.
By the way, also like if you're going to trade, say, Mitch for Valanciunas, you're attaching a first rounder, or else why are the Wizards doing that? Like, there's no reason for them to take on Mitch who one more year, whereas Valanciunas is done after this year.
Right. Yeah, I think if you had another expiring, you could just do a swap, but. I think
like,
the Wizards
also, what's the
get
incentive for the Wizards? Like, their only incentive to do it is that they're getting something for it.
Yeah, it's not like they need to get worse. They're like
right.
nobody's gonna do worse than them this season.
I mean, maybe like some of these teams, like Valanciunas, is like after the trade deadline, he's like, "Hey, Wizards! Like the plan was you were gonna trade me. You didn't trade me. Can I just go play for a better team?"
Right.
Og as an influencer writes, now that Tibbs has been told the 7 guys also dressed in Knicks uniform are not assistant coaches, but in fact players, will he bother to learn their names or just call out their number? Og as an influencer writes also, do you think Leon's recent strategy to not give Tibbs his main meal at halftime, but wait until after the game so Tibbs doesn't nap in the third or fourth quarter is paying off?
So a big Tibbs fan over there.
Yes. And Brunson and Cat writes, what is your current stance on Mitchell Robinson because of how injury prone he is Would you want to trade him or and who is it for? So if our goal is to win the title this year or make the finals, really the best bet is if Mitch comes back. And maybe he doesn't come back, but like it seems like that would be if you're going to go like okay, so I think the best plan, and Leon, I know you're listening. I know you're an avid listener to the podcast. Keep Mitch, see what happens this year. And if he doesn't come back, or you really want to make a trade to upgrade the roster, do it in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, really, you need him for like 20 to 25 games.
Right.
Can you get that? Maybe. And if you can,
Maybe.
it just increases your chances so much.
He's running, he's jumping. Those are things that lead to basketball activity. I think it would be worth holding on to him. I also think you probably be able to work out a better trade in the offseason. Like trading for Valanciunas doesn't really increase our odds that much of winning the title. Maybe you make your last moves in the offseason if this doesn't work out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Can we go to our under overs and see how we're doing, Jay? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah. I would also like people to just stop posting the total minutes played to make it look like the Knicks are, being run into the ground. It's because they're not missing games because of injuries. Brunson is playing. Do you want to guess where he is in the league in minutes per game?
Average or total?
Average. Total, the Knicks have 4 out of the top 5 because they don't get injured.
Yeah, I don't know. Was he 8th?
23rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty good.
so people need to knock it off.
You know who's? I'll tell you some players who are really doing well on total minutes played. Zion Williamson, his total minutes plays are like they're a very reasonable number for the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Kawhi Leonard, his total minutes played, pretty reasonable. Paul George, Embiid, really reasonable total minutes played.
It's a good thing the coach is only playing them a few minutes to preserve them.
Gotta say also, one thing Tips has done well is the total minutes played for Mitch has been pretty good this year.
Very good. He should probably be dominating any day now, based on how much he's been preserved.
I mean, yeah, the Knicks they've had a very healthy starting 5. It's great. It's awesome. Don't be like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, is it really a huge difference between playing also 37 and 35 minutes a night? Those extra 2 minutes, are make or break.
Apparently.
I really don't think they're I get, don't play in 42 minutes a game. Also, you know what you have to sometimes think about in these games? Is that oh, okay, so Bridges played 39 minutes. That's ridiculous. Well, in the game, there were 8 stoppages in the third quarter and the fourth quarter where he was just standing around resting, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, not last night in particular, but all these games they have a challenge that takes a half hour. Oh, was that a flagrant? We'll take 20 minutes to figure this out.
Right.
Guys get rest. These are real breaks.
Yeah. Okay, so over-unders.
Okay.
We have the Clippers at under 35.5. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's done. We lost.
We thought the Clippers would be a lot worse without Paul George. Turns out they are a better team without Paul George.
So the 27-20, I don't think they're going to go 8-27. So we're done.
We're going to write that one off.
Yeah. Portland over 22.5.
Portland over 22.5. We lost that one also.
No, they have 18 wins already.
You said over 22.5. I was thinking under.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Portland will be over 22.5. Yeah, absolutely. They have too much talent to only win 22 games.
Yeah. So that one's, and they've been playing 500 ball for the last 15 games. So
okay, so we're 1-1.
Yeah, feeling good about that one. Grizzlies under 47.5.
Well, if the Grizzlies the Knicks played, then I would agree, but they're going over.
Yeah, that one's not looking good. Unless that beatdown sends them into a tailspin, that one's not looking very good.
I mean, if they play 500 ball, they're over.
Knicks over 54.5.
That's still, the Knicks are having a really good year, but that's still a pretty good run from here.
They're on pace for 54, so it's going to be close.
It's going to be close. That one's going to be tough. I think we're probably going to lose that one, but I love the Knicks, obviously.
Philly under 48.5. 48.
It would take a goddamn miracle for us to lose that bet.
Man, we should have just unloaded our bank accounts on that one.
I'd be like, honey, I know this sounds really stupid to bet our entire house on this, but it's a lock. Philly has no chance.
They would
And then,
need
like,
to
we were
go.
watching Philly go on to win the last 20 games in a row, and she's like, we're going to be homeless soon because you thought there was a lock.
They would need to go, what, 30-10 for the rest of the season?
Something absurd. Yes.
Okay. Hornets under 30.5. Again, feel really good about that.
That's a lock. That's a lock. LaMelo, they do have all-star wannabe LaMelo Ball, who just he's just so good.
Timberwolves under 52 over 52.5. Now we're done with that. We lost.
Yeah, that's gonna be. They're not as good as last year. They're 26-21. They're in the 7th seed. They're still having a decent year. But yeah, that was a bad bet.
Yeah, they have to go 26-10.
It is crazy. The T-Wolves played the Mavericks last year in the Western Conference Final, and they're the 7th and 8th seed this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the last one. We have the Mavericks over 49.5, which they were on clear pace to do before Luka went down, and now we lost.
Yeah, we lost that bet. Are we gonna do new bets?
Not for money.
Not for money?
No.
How about for pride?
We could do like burger bets.
Yeah, we'll maybe next show we'll look at under overs again and make new bets.
Okay.
I'll challenge you on this.
All right. Sounds good.
But the Knicks are looking great. I'm predicting a total of 0 moves at the deadline.
I think they'll make a
anything
small
happens?
one, maybe like Sims and Shamet for like something.
I don't think they trade Shamet. I don't.
They might. They seem to like Shamet. I don't know. Maybe. The rumor is they're looking to trade Sims, but he only makes $2 million. So what can you get? Like nobody makes $2 million.
It's also like who would want Sims? Like there's nothing you're like, hey, do you guys need an upgrade at 4th string center?
Right.
I mean, literally, like if you want Sims, just go sign Moses Brown, the guy the Knicks have at Westchester.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sims really that much better?
I don't know, because didn't Moses Brown play?
He played in the NBA for like half an hour, and then got cut and came back to Westchester.
Yeah, he played 9 games in Indiana, and they're like, no.
Is that even his last name, Brown? Did I make that up?
No.
Okay.
That's him.
Okay.
He's been in the league a few times. He's played for Portland, OKC, Dallas, Cleveland, Clippers, Brooklyn, Portland again, and Indiana, and they all said no thank you.
I mean, which is fine. He's crushing it in G League. Guys do well in the G League. G League is not the NBA.
Bronny scored 31. And then he
scored 31 in the G League?
Yeah, and then the very next day he went to the NBA and was 0 for 5 with 3 turnovers, 0 points.
I mean, Deuce used to look like Michael Jordan in the G League, so whatever.
There's
sometimes it works out. Sometimes the guys end up being good in the NBA eventually.
There's a big gap in talent between the G League and the NBA.
Yeah, you know how big the gap in talent is?
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Toppin has been putting up numbers in the G League.
Jacob Toppin had a 30-point game, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. Just
McClung is just like a permanent resident over there.
Okay. You should not be allowed to play in the participate in the dunk contest unless you played in 15 NBA games that year.
I would say
absurd. A guy who just only plays in the G League wins the dunk contest.
I know. It's ridiculous.
It is completely absurd. Why don't you just start counting G League stats and make a G Leaguer an all-star starter?
He played 1 game for Orlando for 5 minutes this season, so apparently that makes him eligible.
I mean, also, wouldn't the dunk contest be better if you could only enter guys who are NBA starters?
Like it used to be.
We want to see the big names. We just don't want to see guys that no one's ever heard of.
The NBA All-Star Weekend's dead.
It is ridiculous.
The All-Star game is the worst. Nobody tries. The dunk contest has people nobody's heard of, and it's also been terrible dunks. They added so many gimmicks to the three-point contest. It's unrecognizable at this point. It's like, yeah, green balls and money racks, and now like a super money ball, and it's ridiculous.
What do you think how is it going to work so that you're going to have 3 teams of 8 and a rookie team, or a first or second year team, for a tournament for the All-Star game? What do you think of that? I mean, it does sound slightly more interesting.
I think it sucks, but it's more just it's because the players aren't trying anymore. The skills challenge they changed, it was worse. The celebrity game doesn't even have celebrities anymore. It's like a TikTok and an Instagram influencer going against like a 50-year-old.
Maybe we're just old. Also, we don't recognize the names of these guys.
I'm sure there's some people who recognize it, but for me, I just take the weekend off from the NBA.
Yeah, I just don't really care about watching the All-Star game anymore. There's got to be ways to make it a little more exciting. Maybe having shorter games will get guys to play a little harder and having it more of a tournament style.
Maybe. Maybe you should just have like Bill Burr just like razzing live, like through the loudspeaker, just making fun of everybody the whole game. Maybe that'll motivate
That
them.
would be kind of awesome.
That would be hilarious. Just getting roasted. It's like Jeff Ross and Bill Burr just roasting everybody.
Maybe an all-day 3-on-3 tournament.
All day.
Well, like a bunch of just like a longer day of like.
This is hour 9 of the 3-on-3 tournament. Sorry, guys, you got to play all day.
Wait a second. The 3-on-3 tournament game is the first one to 100. Are you guys kidding me?
First to 375 wins. It's all day.
I don't know. There's got to be a way to like you can't. Guys are like banged up. No one really wants to give full effort in the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe in a shorter game, they'd be more interested in giving an effort. I don't know. 5-minute quarters.
Don't give Adam Silver a hard on over there. What if we charged full price, but gave people half the product?
My daughter plays basketball in a league, like our town league, and it's it's 8 4-minute periods, and they're just a running clock the whole time.
Jesus, that's weird.
Well, they do they make it. The reason they do 8 periods is because that way it makes rotations easier. That way you don't have to like do switches in a quarter.
So you just switch out the whole team like every 4 minutes?
Well, there's 8 girls on our team, so we have to like and usually like only 7 at the game. So you kind of obviously like each quarter is like 2 girls or 2 or 3 girls are resting, or each period. But like that way you don't have to do within the running clock is kind of ridiculous because then to go for free like someone will shoot a free throw and that's the entire quarter basically. Everyone's staying around watching the free throw.
Yeah, when I was doing a basketball league, it was 12-minute quarters, but even that with the free throws, it was like half the game was like you're just watching free throws.
There aren't a lot of free throws at least. They don't call they don't call a lot of that.
I mean, they didn't call
they decided to make the 10-year-old girls league better than the NBA.
Right.
No touch fouls in this league. No girls flopping. It's much better.
God. Can you imagine, like, would the NBA even be around if, like, Magic and Bird were just, like, flopping every play?
Oh, my God. Okay, the Knicks schedule, who do the Knicks have coming up? They have a couple games.
They have home against the Lakers on Saturday, home against the Rockets on Monday, and at the Raptors on Tuesday.
The Knicks schedule, the rest of the season is pretty tough.
Yes, but I am liking that 4-day break between the Raptors and the Celtics. So even though they have to play the Celtics, they will be very rested, playing at home on 4 days rest.
The Lakers are playing without Anthony Davis, and Knicks are going to win that game. Houston's going to be a great test, and the Rockets will be fun to watch RJ lose.
Raptors. Oh, Raptors. You said
Raptors. Sorry, I meant Raptors. Yeah. RJ losing. Is Emmanuel Quickly? Does he play in the NBA anymore?
He came back for like a day, looked awesome, and then was out again.
I
don't know what
what's wrong with him.
I don't know.
He can no longer stay on the court. It seems like the Raptors are like they're like, I don't care. It's like study hall. Like if you guys show up for the game, that's great. If not, whatever.
For anybody like still bitter about trading those guys, like Quigley's barely played since he left.
I mean, the only people bitter are like the Raptors are like, we're paying RJ and Emmanuel Quickly $16 million for this shit.
They're capped out for like the next 3 years on those guys.
And Scotty Barnes, $100 million. That's your core.
Yeah.
That is your core.
Yep.
That's like a GM's like I don't know how Toronto like is not like, okay, this is what do we do here?
Can we have
Everyone's fired.
three amnesties, please? Can we trade for an amnesty?
Would you rather have Emmanuel Quickly or RJ Barrett on that contract?
Barrett, because he plays.
Yeah, he does play at least.
I mean, Quickly's just never playing now.
And Barrett like does look good at times. I mean, he always looked good at times. Just
yeah. Well, that's just his
bad.
MO. Like he'll look great for like 3 weeks, and then he'll look like garbage for 2, and it just goes back and forth.
It was crazy last year how RJ suddenly they traded him, and he's like, "I'm the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA," and everyone's like, "Look, he's been unleashed." Take a look at his stats this year. They're the exact same stats he had with the Knicks previously. They went right back down to the normal.
So Quigley's played 9 games this year.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know what the like. Of course he didn't really miss a lot of time on the Knicks. He was like, that's also like you look at a guy's history and you're like, he never misses games. He just misses every game.
Yeah. Weird.
Okay.
At least he only has 4 years at 32.5. Jeez, what a bad contract.
By the way, I was watching Wemby the other day. I need to watch every Wemby game. I'm not going to, but Wemby is like, who do you think is the most fun to watch? I think the Spurs might be the most fun team to watch right now. I mean, obviously OKC is fun to watch, and other teams are fun to watch, but Wemby is just it's just watching him. You're like, why is he not scoring? Why is he shooting threes? Why is he doing this? But he's fascinating to watch.
I think one of the dumbest things the NBA's done is given Porzingis the nickname the Unicorn when he did nothing special or unique. And now that nickname's taken, so we can't give an actual unicorn like Wemby the nickname the Unicorn.
Well, they call him the Alien, right?
Yeah, the Unicorn I thought was like, that would have been great. But we used it on a guy who was like Dirk but worse.
Right, but I think with Porzingis is fine. But like he got that nickname before he started really performing, because everyone was just like, look, he's a 7-foot guy who can kind of dribble, shoot threes. He has this like athleticness that you don't really see at 7 foot.
New rule: no nicknames before the guy steps on the court.
Fair enough.
Because we've ruined it. Wemby should be the Unicorn.
Wait, can you at the close of the show? Can you go to Basketball Reference and look up Wemby's nicknames?
Sure. I bet Unicorn's not on there.
No, it's not.
It should be the real Unicorn. You're right. Alien, the Extraterrestrial, Vic, and Wemby.
The Extraterrestrial Vic,
because for Victor.
Yeah, I got that. And Wemby, like those are like just not the most creative nicknames.
Not great, no.
I expected something like to see like the Spurinator, or just something like it was just like, but what?
I want to know who's in charge of putting these nicknames together.
Maybe the Eiffel Tower? That would have been a good nickname for him.
Porzingis is Zinger, KP6, Unicorn, Godzingus, and Porzingod. So my fantasy team was called the Porzingods a while back. So maybe they're scouring fantasy basketball team names.
Yeah. Okay, let's close the show.
All right. So thanks for listening, everybody. NYKnicksPodcast at gmail.com. NYKnicksPodcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at NYKnicksPodcast on YouTube. And we have a Discord. You could join that. The link's in the show notes. And that's it. So we'll be back next week. We'll be talking about the 8-game winning streak. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go.
This is the end.
Say goodbye. You better go away.
I'm gonna leave.